channel. Today we are actually doing a parenting Q&A. With this parenting Q&A, I figured that we should have a very special guest join us today.
Hello, everybody.
This is my 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old. I am actually going to start this parenting Q&A with asking her a few questions. I figured we would start this Q&A. I'm going to ask Kara Layton some questions about her and our parenting and stuff like that. So make sure that you guys subscribe and like and share and tell your friends. And we're going to go ahead and get started.
And make sure you put 28 checks.
28 checks. Everybody do 28 checks. Okay, so I'm going to start by asking Kara Layton some questions, and then we will get into the questions that you guys had for me on Facebook and on Instagram. So I have a few questions for Kara. My first question, Kara, you ready?
Yeah.
Do you want to say hey to everybody?
Hello.
You want to tell people about you real fast?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Kara's going to tell you about herself.
So, I got 100 clothes, I think. So, that's all I think.
That's it?
Yeah.
She has a lot of clothes. She wanted to let you guys know.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the first question I have for Kara is, what is one thing that Mommy does that you do not like?
Get on to me.
Get on to you? What do I get on to you for?
Be mean.
You're not mean. What do I get on to you for specifically? What is one thing that you do that I always get on to you for?
But they didn't listen.
Because you don't listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. That happens. Does that happen a lot?
Yeah.
What is one thing that Daddy does that you do not like?
He gets on to me.
For what?
But they don't listen to him.
Look at that pattern. Okay, you ready for the next question?
Yeah.
The next question is, what is one thing you love about Mommy?
Was I love to play Rolling Sky with you.
Okay, so we like to play games on her iPad. Is there anything else you love about Mommy?
Yes.
What else?
Love to do makeup with you.
Okay, what else?
About you.
Yes, about me.
I love this lipstick.
Okay. Second part of that question, what is one thing you love about Daddy? What is one thing about Daddy that you love?
That he does not love makeup.
He doesn't love makeup?
No.
You love that about him?
Yes.
Me too. Third question, what is your favorite part of your day? What is the...
every day?
Yes, every day. What is the favorite part of your day?
Even of my birthday, even Christmas, even Easter.
Okay, so you
even
love
Halloween.
You love holidays.
Yes.
What do you love about holidays?
That they're so much fun.
So much fun. Okay, next question. What is something that Mommy always says to you?
You need to go to your room.
Is there anything Mommy says to you that's loving?
Yes.
Like what?
Goodbye.
Does Mommy say I love you?
Yeah.
Do I say it enough?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Okay, so what is one thing that you enjoy doing with Mommy?
Do makeup.
Okay, what else? What is one thing that you and I always do together for mommy-daughter date? What do we always do together? Put that down.
We always do, sometimes we probably, go to, the store sometimes.
I have failed you. Okay, Kara Layton, so is there anything that you want to tell all of the people that watch Mommy?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So make sure you give 88 subscribes.
88 subscribes.
Yeah,
That's
all.
right. Why do you want people to subscribe?
But they're on your channel. Channel.
She's my smart one.
Channel.
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 Channel. And we decided, or Kara decided, that she was going to wear her donut pajamas in the video today. Aren't they adorable? Adorable. That is it for the Q&A part for little Layton here.
Do you have any more questions?
I don't think so. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah.
What?
So the first question for my mama is, what do I say to you that you love?
What do you say to me that I love?
Yeah.
When you say, Mommy, I love you.
So the next question of that, Is it okay if I keep this makeup? This one?
No.
This one?
No. Okay, so that is it for this.
I am sick.
Okay, so that is it for this portion of the Q&A with little Kara Layton. Kara, tell everybody bye.
Bye-bye.
Adios.
Adios. I'm going to make something for my Nana.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody tell Kara bye, and I will be right back to answer you guys' questions from Facebook and Instagram. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed that little Q&A with Kara. Now we're going to dive into the questions that you guys asked me on Facebook and Instagram about parenting and motherhood and all of the wonderful chaos that comes with it. First question I got was on my Facebook, and the question was, can you adopt me? Yes. Yes, I can. The next question I got was, what is our method of disciplining our children? And that question can be kind of touchy because, you know, a lot of people do not agree with certain discipline methods. Pretty much our method is we want to make sure that Kara, not so much Ainsley because she's still little, so I'll probably be just referring to Kara, but we want to make sure that Kara understands completely whenever she does get disciplined or get in trouble. We never want her to be questioning, why did mommy and daddy spank me? Why did they get on to me? Why did this happen? I think that is one thing that I think her daddy and I both have done since she started getting, you know, popped or getting in trouble, is we want to make sure that she understands exactly why she's getting in trouble, exactly why it's wrong, and what to do next time. I think that to spank a kid or to get onto a kid, put them in timeout or anything like that, and not explain to them what they did wrong is kind of pointless because they are going to do it again because they don't know what they did wrong. When it comes to discipline itself, we are a spanking family. If Kara Layton does something that we have told her not to do and she does it anyway, she gets a spanking. And it really just depends on the situation. Like if we don't feel like she understood what we meant, then we will go back and explain it again. And we will say, did you understand? And she says, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Then the next time she does it, she will get a spanking. That is our rules here at our house. Spankings are not rare. She has probably had a handful of them since she has been, whenever we started disciplining her, she's had a handful of spankings. But we try to only spank her whenever we absolutely feel like we have to get the point across. Spanking is not something that we look forward to. It's not something that we enjoy, and it is definitely not the method of discipline that we run to automatically. It is definitely like the last resort and is not something that either one of us enjoy doing. The next question I got was, when did you know that you were ready to have children? And this question is probably not a very good question for me because I have wanted kids since I was little. From the time that I was like 12, I have always wanted 7 kids. I want 4 girls and 3 boys. I've wanted to adopt. I still want to adopt. I just talked to my husband about that a few weeks ago. I would just love to be able to show our family's love to a child that does not have that already. So I knew that I wanted to have kids when I was super, super young. And so I knew that I wanted kids when I was like 13. I knew that I wanted to be a mom. Whenever I think about everything that has happened in my life and the big, huge goals that I have for my life, I know that being a mom was just number one. Like that is what I wanted to be, was a mom. If you are waiting to have kids until you are financially ready, you will never be financially ready. Right now, diapers are $34 for a box, and that is Pampers. I know that there are off brands that you can buy. Formula is expensive. You better hope that the milk comes out of yourself, because it's a whole lot cheaper. So when do I think you're ready to have kids? Whenever you are ready to have kids. Everybody's life is different. Everybody has different expectations for their life. Everybody has different things that they want to accomplish before they start a family. So just go by what you and your partner have figured out and run with it, because I promise you, once you have a child, your life will be forever changed. Okay, so the next question is, when is too old for your child to take a shower with you or their dad? That's a good question. I feel personally like maybe 3, 4-ish would be the age that you should probably quit showering with your children. I have a funny story about that. So up until Kara was about 3, she would jump in the shower with me, or she would jump in the shower with her daddy. Not a big deal. I didn't think anything about it. Nathan wasn't crazy about her showering with him, just because he's always been, you know, the one, he wants to keep that separate. You know, he doesn't really want to get dressed in front of her. He doesn't want to change in front of her and things like that. But she got in the shower with him one day. She was about, I want to say she was at least maybe like late 2, early 3. And while they were in the shower, Kara Layton picked up a shampoo bottle and poked him with it. And that was the last time Kara Layton took a shower with her daddy. So I said that to say this. I think that once they are at the age where they're starting to notice things, and they know that that looks different than what I have, and they seem a little bit more curious, it's probably about time to separate the showering and the bathing. Okay, the next question I got was, were you super panicky as a first-time mom? That's a really good question. I feel like I was super panicky about some things, and then other things I feel like I was so relaxed about. I did not care about messes. I did not care about crazy diapers. I did not care about spit up or puke or anything like that. The one thing that I feel like I was most panicky about was when Kara Layton started rolling over for the first time, and she wanted to sleep on her tummy. I did not like that she liked to sleep on her tummy, because you hear about SIDS and all this crazy stuff that goes on. So I did not want her sleeping on her tummy. I remember very vividly staying up all night long whenever she first learned to roll over, and as soon as she would roll over on her tummy, I would flip her back over on her back because it freaked me out. So there are little things like that that you will obsess over because you don't want any accident to happen. You don't want anything freaky to happen. So there are some things I was panicky about, and then some things that I was not. Now Ansley, you know, once you get to your second kid, it's like, we'll find out in the morning. Okay, so the next question was, how do I make my daughter wear her bows? Do I beat her? I mean, you can beat her. There's been times where I popped Kara because she snatched her bow out. I'm not gonna lie. I don't feel like there's anything you can really do about it. Some babies or some kids like wearing bows, some don't. Kara had a bow on her head every single day for almost all of her life, so she is completely okay with having a bow in. The only time that she takes her bow out is whenever she gets home from school, which I don't really care if she wears a bow at home. Ansley wears little headbands, and she doesn't reach up and grab hers, so, but I'm sure the time is coming. So if you want to pop her for taking her bow out, then that's up to you. I have done it a few times, especially like when we were like out at a restaurant. She would take it out and chunk it, and I would pop her little hand and put it back on and tell her no. But again, it's all in how you want to discipline your kid. If you want to pop her for taking her bow out, or if you don't want to pop her for taking her bow out, it's totally up to you. Okay, the next question is my 7-year-old too young to watch Passion of the Christ? Oh God, I can only answer this based on my knowledge of like how Kara is. Like, she is pretty much 5. She'll be 5 in 2 weeks. And I'm thinking like her in 2 years, would I let her watch that movie? And the answer is absolutely yes. I think that I would let Kara watch it right now if I didn't think that I would answer 500,000 questions after the movie was over with. Kara goes to a Christian school, so she does know that Jesus got whipped. She knows that he got beaten. She knows that he bled. She knows that he was hung on the cross, and she knows that he died. So, I mean, if you feel like your kid is mature enough to watch something like that, and please encourage questions. That is one thing that I am absolutely going to do whenever I do choose to introduce that movie to Kara and Ansley, is I want to encourage them to ask questions. I want them to ask me the questions and don't ask other people. I think that's where the hard parenting comes in, is you have to talk to your kids about certain things before the world talks to them about things, because you want them to have the right foundation and not a corrupt foundation. So yeah, absolutely. If he's 7 years old or she's 7 years old and you feel like that she or he is ready to watch that movie, then absolutely, I would absolutely let Kara watch it when she was 7. Okay, the next question was, how long until your natural mother instinct took over when you had your first child? And that's a really good question. I feel like I feel like everybody has like some type of instant natural mothering whenever they have a baby, whether they feel like it's very strong or they don't feel like it's very strong. I have a friend who does not feel like she had like that instant mothering nature about her, but I feel like everybody has just a tiny bit because it is your baby. I feel like my natural instinct, most of it kicked in right away. But if you're asking me when I felt normal, when my life started to feel a little normal after I had Kara, that was whenever she was about 3 months old. I felt very out of place. I felt very weird. I felt very stuck. I felt very stressed out up until she was about 3 months old. I remember her being 3 months old and us backing out of the driveway to go shopping at like Target, and I just remember thinking, I got this. Like, I can do this. And I think that, you know, you get that epiphany like, okay, maybe I can do this. And after I had Ansley, I had such a hard time. I cannot even begin to explain to you guys. I've actually thought about making a separate video on my pregnancy and actually like really like my postpartum like story with Ansley, because it is so real. And so if you guys want me to do a dedicated video on my postpartum story with Ansley, just leave it in the comments down below. Send me a text, send me a message, and let me know, because I would love to do that for you guys. I feel like postpartum depression is something that doesn't get talked about a lot, and so I would love to do a video for you guys of how I handled it and how I noticed it and what happened after Ansley's birth. Okay, so the next question is, what is your most frustrated experience with your kids or with someone handling your kids? And I don't really have a most frustrating moment with my kids. The only thing that I get super frustrated about with my kids is whenever other people, and I'm sure every mom is like this, especially now we're in 2018, everybody has an opinion. But the only thing that really frustrates me with my kids is whenever other people try to tell me what I should do with them. And I understand that there are so many opinions out there. People want to give their opinion. I understand that. But whenever people are so strong with their opinion and they tell you stuff that you're like, I know, like obvious stuff, like it's cold outside, make sure they wear a jacket. I know, I'm going to put a jacket on. I think the most important thing about whenever you get frustrated with other people's opinions about how to raise your kids is just remember that they are just telling you advice because they love you most of the time, and they want what's best for you and they want what's best for that child. So try not to get super frustrated. I know it's very hard whenever you feel like you're doing the best that you can and you feel like you're being judged, but you just have to look past it and parent the way that you want to parent, and do not listen to all of the opinions, because if you listen to everybody's opinion and try to make everybody happy, you're going to be miserable. So do what you feel is right, and they're your kids. The next question was one of my favorite questions. One thing that you said you would never do when you had kids that you ended up doing. And that would be bringing you back to the method of discipline. When I was younger, I swore up and down I would never spank my children. My parents spanked us when we were little. I did not like it. I didn't agree with it, obviously, because I was the one getting spanked. I actually had a diary back from like 2013, I think it was like 13, that said I will never spank my kids. But I spank my kids. Okay, so the next question is probably my favorite question, and it was, how do you and your spouse discipline? Do you discipline together? Do you have two different discipline methods? And how do you make that work? And Nathan and I have pretty much the same discipline method. We talked about it before we got married. We talked about it before we had kids. And whenever Kara gets in trouble and we do end up getting onto her or spanking her, we talk about it. Before we spank her, it's a joint decision to spank her. Again, spanking is the last resort. Sometimes I want to spank her and I'll look at Nathan and he'll just be shaking his head no, like he doesn't think it's right, so I won't spank her. There is times where he will go to spank her and I will look at him and go, don't do it, and he won't spank her. In order to spank her, we pretty much have to be on the same page, and we've always been that way. Now, there are times where out of impulse, if she does something, I will pop her, and that's just, if I feel like I need to pop her at that moment to get her attention, I will pop her to get her attention, and I do not consult Nathan about that decision. And obviously vice versa. But him and I pretty much have the same discipline method. We spank, we talk to her, we sit her down and talk to her. We make sure that she knows what she did is wrong and what to do next time to fix the situation. Nathan and I have never, ever come across something that one of us did when it comes to parenting Kara. We've never come across a situation where I did something he didn't agree with or he did something I didn't agree with when it comes to our kid, because we pretty much talk it out before it even happens. Okay, so the next question is, what is one pet peeve you have when it comes to children, and what is one value that you try to instill in your kids that you feel is most important? One value that I try, and I will hammer it into Kara's head until she's an adult, is manners. I am constantly, which I don't have to say it as much anymore because she's old enough now and she knows that we have been hammering it into her brain for like 2 or 3 years now. So she knows yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir to everyone. Whenever they ask her a question, whenever they ask her to do something, anything like that, I better hear yes ma'am or no ma'am out of her mouth. I used to constantly get on to her when she would say yeah or yup, and I'm like, no, yes ma'am. Like that, yes ma'am is the only words that should come out of your mouth, or no ma'am. And now I can go, Kara, will you grab that for me? And she'll go, yes ma'am. Like that's just one thing. It's a respect thing, and people don't agree with that, and that's fine. But whenever a stranger is talking to my daughter and they ask her a question, I don't want her to go yeah, I want her to go yes ma'am. I want them to know, I want her to know that she has to respect people, and by using her manners and saying yes ma'am or no ma'am, no sir, yes sir, that is respecting that person. And that is just something that's personal of mine that I want to make sure that my kids do. The next question is, what do you do for bedtime? Because my kid will not go to sleep. Bedtime is special, especially to me. We every single night read Kara a book, and then we read her a Bible story. It's kind of like a little kid devotional. And that time is our time with just one-on-one with her. I decided whenever I had Ansley that I knew that my time was going to be even more limited with one-on-one time with her. So I decided at bedtime, Ansley would go down to bed and I would go in there with Kara and read her a book and her Bible story. And we've stuck to that for, 8-9 months. So the one thing that I can say is, if they're a baby or even if they're a toddler, like 2-3 years old, the most important thing whenever it comes to bedtime is structure and schedule. Whenever we started to try to get Ainsley to go to bed all night long, we would do the exact same schedule every single night. We would do bath, feeding, bed every single night. And then after a while, they start to associate those things with bedtime, so they know that it's bedtime. We would feed her, we would bathe her, and then right after her bath, she knew, I'm going to bed. And we would lay her down, and she has been sleeping through the night. She's been sleeping 8 hours at a time since she was 6 weeks old. Right now, she sleeps 12 hours every single night. So I think that routine and schedule is really important, especially when they're babies. If you start doing it when they're really little, then they will continue on into being a toddler and a young kid, and will sleep really, really great for you. The last question is very, very controversial, and that is, I wasn't going to answer this question, but I figured, you know what? It's my channel and I'm going to answer it. The last question was, do you let your kids cry it out? And the answer is sometimes. There are some situations where I will let my kids cry it out. I feel like as their mom and as somebody who knows them more than anyone, I know if whenever they're crying, if they need me, if they're hungry, if they need to be changed, or if they're just fighting sleep and don't want to go to sleep. Kara, when she was really little, there was only a couple of times I had to let her cry it out, and it took about 3 days. The first night she cried for like 20 minutes. The next night it was like 10 minutes. Then the next night after that it was like 5 minutes. Like, she figured it out really fast. Ansley, we haven't had to let her cry it out because she's not a crying kid. Like, we lay her down. If she's not ready to go to sleep, she'll sit in there and talk, or she'll sit in there and whine, but then she'll go to sleep. I had some rules in place with the crying it out. I never let my kids cry more than 20 minutes. If they were still crying after 20 minutes, then they needed me, they needed to eat, or something was going on. Like, I do feel like babies just sometimes need to be held and need to be loved. And so if it reached that 20-minute mark and they were still crying, I went in there and picked them up. But in my experience, the crying never lasted for more than 20 minutes. So I do actually, honestly, if people ask me, I tell them, lay them down. If they're fed, if they're changed and nothing's wrong, lay them down, let them cry. Let them cry. It teaches them to self-soothe. And you'll see all these articles about they're learning not to trust you. They're learning this. You're teaching them separation anxiety. And I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that. I think that they're your baby and they trust you no matter what. Obviously, there are some things as they get older that you can do that make them not trust you. But as babies, I let Kara cry it out, and she is 100% perfectly fine. She does not feel neglected. She does not trust me. You know whether the cry it out method would work with you and your situation and your family and your baby. If you don't think it would work out, then try something else. There's always different ways. There's actually a book out. My friend Brittany told me about it. That's like, it's basically a book explaining how to get your kid to start going to bed on their own without crying. So I'll have to look it up if I can find it, or I'll text Brittany and then I'll leave it in the description box below for you. And so yeah, just basically all of these questions are just a hit or miss. Everybody's different, everybody's kid is different, and you just have to figure out what works for you and your family. Okay guys, well that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you guys subscribe, like, leave me a comment down below telling me what you think. If you have any other questions you want me to answer, you can leave them in the comment box below and I will answer them. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.